Okay, so we're gonna move on. Another constitutional amendment, and this one might not be as straightforward, but has a lot of broad language, but also lots of dollars at stake. It's the medical and biomedical manufacturing exemptions. John, you want this one? We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah, okay, so this is actually, this one flew under the radar.
Yeah.
Nothing, literally, almost nothing got passed on property tax. We usually have a bunch of changes that are made. No, the little bit that got passed, the governor vetoed because he wanted to deal with the tax cuts. This constitutional amendment is an exemption for medical and biomedical producers. And just to be clear, there is this monster competition going around the United States right now as to where these, everybody wants to develop new techniques, new everything. And so these big pharmaceutical developers have billions of dollars that they're going to invest. And so nationally, there's a competition going on as to where to get it. Austin, the Austin area is already one of the hot centers in the United States. But we're in competition with other states like North Carolina, where they've got 3 cities teamed up in what they call the Golden Triangle, recruiting these types of businesses. So what this bill does, well, let me start with what the intent was. It does not apply to real estate. It only applies to your personal property. But anything that you use in the process of manufacturing something that is either a biomedical product or a medical product, undefined terms in the statute, and the products themselves are exempt. Nothing, zero tax to anybody. Now, yeah.
Give some examples of what would be
well,
medical.
so what we don't know, because the statute is really broadly written, and so you get in there, there's already companies here in the state who are already making medical products, okay? And then the question's gonna go, and Brent's gonna have a whole lot of fun. I don't know if he has any of those companies in his county, but, if you're making Band-Aids, does that count? Toothpaste, yeah.
The
Sunscreen.
way I look at it, if you have a health savings account and it says you can use that health savings account to buy anything medical related, well, I stretch that pretty far sometimes. And I'm sure that we're going to have a lot of folks that'll try to do the same thing on this. I see litigation on the horizon. I think that there's going to be a situation where someone does try to stretch it pretty far, and
But
an
what's
appraisal district.
pretty far in your mind?
Well, I guess,
Band-Aids.
well, and I don't know, Band-Aids are medical. I would say that if someone comes in and says, hey, we produce ice, and we have an ice production manufacturing company, we got all this equipment, ice is used to help reduce swelling.
That's right.
Does all that equipment now become exempt from property taxation? I don't know. So,
Yeah, and so, okay, so y'all need to be thinking about that if you're leasing property or going to lease property. You might have a real opportunity here to develop and to attract new people to bring in new business, and whether it's this high-tech, sophisticated stuff or whether it's the low-tech stuff, there's going to be opportunity.
well, and I would imagine that concerns
Yeah,
counties.
so it does. It is, as John, as you mentioned, its intent, I think, primarily was to attract companies to Texas, but for all of the entities, like the county, all those existing manufacturers who could potentially get this exemption come off the rolls for us, right? And as we've already said, with any of these exemptions, it just shifts burden, right? Unless we want to shut our jail down and tell our sheriff not to patrol anymore, there's a certain amount of service level we have to provide, and those monies have to now come from some other source.
Yeah.
So-
Sir, you had a question in the back?
I'm just curious, is this only manufacturing, or does this go in like doctor's offices, hospitals, assisted living, nursing homes, stuff like that?
Depends on what they're doing. The interesting one for me is kind of related to that, and that is compounding pharmacies. You know, there are pharmacies that will actually make your prescription for you on the site. I think that one, to me, seems clear. Now, I haven't gotten into what does Walgreens do and CVS do? Do they just take the pills out of one package and put it in your package? Or do those pharmacists, to some extent, actually make the medicine? I mean, that's why they went to pharmacy school, to learn how to make it. And I don't know, but yeah, you start looking at drugstores, and again, it is a producer, a manufacturer exemption. So if you talk about doctor's offices, probably not, unless they're actually physically making a product.
Okay, so this one's gonna be interesting to follow and what litigation comes out of it.
Yeah.